I'm going to share today Enlightened Enthusiasm. What a beautiful supporting song. You know, it's amazing about music, and it creates such a vibration that uplifts and encourages, supports faith and trust in life. So truly, I thank you so much for what you bring to us. So here we are on the 28th of February, the fourth Sunday of February, the month in which we celebrate and acknowledge and pay a lot of attention to love. And even though I haven't been here most of this month, I know it's been an exciting month of talks as we spell out the word love. The first Sunday was L, about living in light and laughter. And that's truly what love brings us to, right? True love, unconditional, brings us to that place of joy, of peace, and of laughter. And then the second week, the O letter was about the omniscience, omnipotence, and omnipresence of divine love. God's love, which is ever present, flows through us and as us, supports us and sustains us. And then last Sunday, Reverend Anna Marie was here to share something that's very powerful in her own life, which is the vibration, the vibrancy of vision and vitality. So I know that was a phenomenal talk. Love wants to be expressed. We all have this impulse of love within us, and it's really the soul's calling to come out and express what we are here to do, who we are here to be. And that comes through a vision of each of our lives and the vitality to carry it out. So we're closing out this month with the letter E, and the letter E is representing enlightened enthusiasm. Enlightened enthusiasm. Already that feels like a really big vibration to me. We've heard this wonderful quote from Ernest Holm about enthusiasm, and it is a very, very high vibration. So Dr. David Hawkins, in the book Power versus Force, which is a very popular book amongst New Thought people, says that love is the fourth vibration below the ultimate. So it is a very, very high vibration. And joy is even a higher vibration. And when you think about it, or when I thought about it, I thought, well, love, it just seems like that would be the number one. And yet joy calibrates higher in electromagnetic waves. And I was thinking that it really is a dynamic expression of love. Joy is love expressing itself, so it has more energy. And definitely it calibrates higher. So today we're going to be exploring tools and steps that we can take to increase the level of enlightened enthusiasm and love within our lives and fulfill our purpose, and how to do that. So we're going to be inspired by masters and yogis. And I'd like to begin with a quote from a very famous and beloved master and yogi who said, "Love is the most important thing in life." But baseball's pretty good too. And so now that we've put away the football season, I was just going to ask you. Yeah, exactly. Yogi Berra. So I think we have Yogi with us today. Love is the most important thing in the world, but baseball is pretty good too. Yeah, and look at that face. So Yogi Berra truly was a master. He was a master of baseball, but he was also a master of life. He was a master of his own domain. He lived in this presence of joy, and he left us wonderful, witty quips to identify with and to raise our own vibration, including this one here. So we're very grateful to Yogi Berra. And right now, what I would like to do is begin to feel this vibration of enlightened enthusiasm. So we have more people on this side of the room as usual. So you are going to have to be very dynamic in your expression. This side is going to say enlightened, and this side is going to say enthusiasm. All right? And so we're going to come together, and we're going to build this vibration together. So,
Enthusiasm.
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 and breathe in. Hold the breath. And exhale. Do you feel that vibration? All right, so now we're ready to enjoy a wonderful quote from Charles Fillmore, who was the founder of Unity Church with his wife Mildred. And Charles Fillmore put it this way: I sizzle with joy and enthusiasm, and I spring forth with mighty faith to do that which ought to be done by me. So I'm going to invite us all to say that together. I sizzle with enthusiasm and spring forth with mighty faith to do that which ought to be done by me. Beautiful. So just sit with that for a moment. I sizzle. I sizzle. I am alive. I am vibrant. I move with joy and enthusiasm and spring forth with mighty faith to do that which ought to be done by me. Ralph Waldo Emerson says, we are here on purpose. We are here for a purpose. And that voice within is ever calling to bring that purpose forth into manifestation. So that's what we're going to be doing today, is learning how we can increase that enthusiasm and that vitality to bring forth this purpose in our lives if we're not already doing it. So enthusiasm means ardent zeal. Ardent zeal. When I think of ardent, I think of love. I think of the heart. I think of courage. I think of power. I think of expansion. Ardent zeal. Zeal is a powerful word, and it makes me think of the word vigor, which I remember attaching great strength to when I heard John F. Kennedy years ago say, "We will move forth with vigor." Vigor, zeal, is enthusiasm. So I wanted to go back for a moment to the reading. Jen, did you leave the reading up here? Yes. All right. Because when I read this, I was blown away. Enthusiasm is an exaltation of the soul. What does exaltation bring forth in your imagination? It's an uplifting. I feel lifted up, an exaltation of the soul. What is the soul like more than feeling exalted? Which is how I feel when I sing your songs with you. A lively manifestation of zeal. It comes into form. A keen interest in people and things at home. I'm awake, I'm aware, I'm paying attention. I'm present to myself and to others in my family. And abroad, I'm looking around. I'm aware of what's going on in life. I have the world available to me because I'm not lost in my own fog. I have an open enthusiasm for life. It is called the fortune teller of life. Why is it called the fortune teller? Why do you think it's called the fortune teller?
It sets the stage for what's to come.
Beautiful. Yeah, it made me think of the law of attraction. What I put out comes back to me full measure. If I am living open, if I am living in enthusiasm, then it's enthusiasm that I am going to get back most times. And if not, then I can just let that be and move on. Enthusiasm is compelling. We know this about great leaders. I mean, I dare I say Donald Trump today is, I mean, it may need, but dare I say it, but it's true. He is compelling. He has great enthusiasm for his belief, right? His belief in himself. I mean, that's a powerful thing. Now, we want to use it for good, and I'm reserving judgment, trying to reserve judgment. But it does demonstrate when we have enthusiasm for something, it draws people in. It actually means inspired. Inspired. And one truly living with enthusiasm is like one inspired as if possessed by divine power. And when I was away in Mexico, I was actually doing transformational breath work with people. And working with the breath inspires me to understand that life itself is carried on the breath. If we are breathing, we are alive. If we are not breathing, we are not alive. So it's really very basic. The more I breathe, the more I take in, the more aware of my breath I am, the more embodiment of that divine reality, this life force energy, this God principle is present within me, for me, and as me. It is here for us, and the more I'm awake to it, the more available it is to me. But it's there. Divine power. This is who we are. Filled with divine power, we become enthused in the consciousness that we are God-sustained, the breath, we're God-sustained, and filled with God power. And such consciousness makes our enthusiasm irresistible. I say amen to that. Who wants that in their lives? So, we know about enthusiasm. Enlightened means to give spiritual insight to. Enlightened, again, it's about waking up, being present to that truth and the reality, because we can walk around, breathing shallowly. We're not nourishing the body, the mind isn't clear, we're in a fog, and we lose our energy. But in enlightened enthusiasm, we are present to that reality of this life force, this power within us. So, spiritual enlightenment means fully awakened. And for our purposes this morning, we'll say fully awakened to God's love as we continue this theme of love throughout this month. So who comes to mind for you when you think of the word enlightenment? What historical figure? Buddha, right. So the Buddha was a man who was born 2,500 years ago in a small kingdom in India bordering the Nepalese, the country of Nepal. And 5 days after he was born, his father, the king, called forth a great celebration and a naming ceremony. And he invited Brahmin sages to come and give word to what his son's life was to be. And so the Brahmin sages came, and this great celebration took place, and each one of them said the same thing. Your son will either be a great king or he will be a great holy man. Now the king thought, I'm just guessing. He can be a great king and fulfill my legacy, or he could be a great holy man and walk naked in the streets with an alms bowl. Let's see, which one would I prefer? And so, for fear that his son truly would become a great holy man and leave the kingdom and leave the family, he kept his son very close. He kept him protected as he would anyway, but he did not allow him out beyond the confines of the kingdom. So he was pampered and coddled and loved and educated and had everything he needed to become the great king that was the design of the king's plan. And yet his soul's calling as he became a young man drew him in curiosity out beyond the confines of the kingdom, of these walls. So he actually snuck out of the castle, the kingdom, and went visiting to see what was taking place out in the world. And what he saw, rather than the protected and loving environment that he came from, was disease, old age, poverty, and suffering. And he did not understand this. And he wanted to know what is the cause of suffering. So he went back into the kingdom and he said goodbye to his parents. I believe he was even married at that time. And his wife. Wow. And just set off on the world on a quest, his soul's quest, to answer this burning question within him, the truth. What is the nature of suffering and why does man experience this? So he got together with other Buddhist monks, sages, contemporary saints, and learned meditation, the skills of meditation, and he walked with them for many, many, many years. And yet he still did not feel he became enlightened. He became an ascetic, and he renounced all benefit to his body, and he nearly died of starvation and desperation. And he still had not attained enlightenment. And he was so frustrated, seeking without himself, that it awakened within him this desire to look within his own heart. So he sat down under the infamous Bodhi tree, and he said to himself, "My flesh may wither, my blood may dry up, but I shall not rise from this place until I reach enlightenment." And he spent 40 days and 40 nights. Sound familiar to anybody? 40 being a number of awakening, of transformation. And then he opened his eyes and he had become enlightened. He had become the Buddha. And from that time on, he was called the Buddha, one who is awake. One who is awake. So thinking about the moment of power that arose within him, and here we have a Buddha here today. And whenever we see the Buddha always has a smile on his face. The lips are upturned. The eyes are downcast, and they're not downcast because he's downcast. He's looking within. He is seeing with the inner eye. He is knowing that which is unknowable because the answers are in that place of divine love and grace within each and every one of us. So, enlightened enthusiasm is to be inspired and awakened to God's love within. And from that place, we all surely also will spring forth with a mighty faith to do the things that we ought to do. So are you willing to explore 3 things with me today? Yes. So, working from the Buddha's perspective, what do you think would be the first tool or step we might take? Meditation. Yes, of course. So meditation is being quiet and going within. And this is how the Buddha became enlightened. It has been proven that even 15 minutes of meditation every day will change the structure of your brain and release the tension within the body and open up to new possibilities. And I find for myself even that I take 15-second meditations by stopping to breathe. And in that breath, I am able to release any stress that's built up and feel that spaciousness within myself that allows me to move forward in peace and harmony and a level of grace that I didn't have 15 seconds before. There have been many, many studies on meditation, and we have many institutions now that have entire structures built for the study of meditation, including right down the road at the University of Pennsylvania. But there is, and you can take classes, you can take meditation classes there, and two of the physicians who lead that institute write for the Science of Mind every month. So meditation is not something beyond anyone's reach. Meditation has now become absolutely mainstream. And there was a study that was done and reported in the Journal of Sciences that described researchers who took a group of 8 Buddhist monks who had 50,000 hours of accumulated meditation and 21-year-old students who had never meditated before, and measured the gamma rays in their brains before and after meditation. And the gamma ray what they discovered within the monks was the gamma wave activity was already very high before they started meditating at this time. The gamma wave activity amongst the students was not very high at all, but after meditating, the monks' gamma waves were off the charts, higher than they had ever recorded before. The students had increased as well. And so they determined that irregardless of age, meditation is of benefit to the brain function, and gamma waves actually measure memory, logic, conscious perception, and what else? Anyway, all sorts of things that are beneficial to our brains, right? And beneficial to students who are trying to study. Concentration. So all of this is documented. All of this is documented. So meditation is the first thing that we would like to step into to improve our ability to live in enthusiastic enlightenment, enlightened enthusiasm. So the next thing after meditation, the next step, and this is really key, and we were talking about this just this morning in our group, our prayer group, and it's releasing resistance. Anybody feel resistance in life? Yeah. Resistance pops up on a regular basis. Resistance is a story we tell ourselves about something we think we don't want, something that's happening that we don't want to happen, or we even project something that may happen that we don't want to happen, even though it's not happening right now. So when I was thinking about resistance, I was thinking about an individual who Jennifer is going to go study with next week, and who we promote as a book, and this is Byron Katie. And she wrote a book called Loving What Is. And the key to loving what is letting go of resistance. And I just want to share what she said. She said, I am a lover of what is, not to be a spiritual person, but because it hurts when I argue with reality. We can know that reality is good just as it is, because when we argue with it, we experience tension and frustration. We don't feel balanced or natural. When we stop opposing reality, action becomes simple, fluid, kind, and fearless. And I find that so true in my own life. When I see or experience something, or I get a phone call, and again, I stop and breathe and open up some space and just let whatever is presenting itself be. I don't have to jump into the ring. And this is one of the, I had a dear friend and mentor who has now passed on, but he shared two beautiful messages with me. And one was, if you don't want to be a fighter, don't get in the ring. Very simple. We have the choice to be the observer, watch what's going on, and we don't have to jump in. It is from that place of the observer that we can respond to life rather than to react to life. The other thing that he said was, let the whirling dervishes whirl. And this is not to cast any dispersions on whirling dervishes, because actually they're mystics, Sufi mystics, who experience sublime reality when they whirl. So, but it's an image that we can understand. Let the stuff go on. Just let it be. Let it be. I don't have to go. I don't have to dance with him, or I can dance with him. I don't have to fight with him. I don't have to get in the ring. Fear is a resistance. And I also love the acronym for fear that we've expressed here at the Center for Joyful Living as well, which gives a whole different take on fear. We can feel fear, and we do feel fear often. But when we think of it with enlightened enthusiasm, fear can be feeling excited and ready. There's something being called from within to do, an invitation to participate in it. I'm not good enough, I'm not ready, I don't have enough education, I don't have whatever it is, obstacles, resistance that we want to put up. Fear is often just seeing if this is this calling for me? And am I truly feeling excited and ready to move forward in my life? So, are we willing to let go of resistance?
Yes.
All right. So let's share together right now. I accept the here and now, here and now.
I accept the here and now, here and now.
All right, and breathe that in. And then I am excited about the here and now, here and now.
I am excited about the here and now, here and now.
And breathe that in. And then we'll take it a step further. In fact, I'm enthusiastic about the here and now, here and now.
In fact, I'm enthusiastic about the here and now, here and now.
Right now, here.
Breathe it in. And the last one, I bring my enlightened enthusiasm into the here and now, here and now.
I bring my enlightened enthusiasm into the here and now, here and now.
Beautiful. So just, your eyes may be open. If they're not open, open them up and just allow yourself a moment of vision of what is calling you forth from this moment that you can feel excited and ready for. This also reminds me of this movie that we watched on Friday night called Under the Same Sun, where a Palestinian businessman and an Israeli businessman came together to create not only business in solar energy, but also to provide real service and fulfill a powerful need for energy in the Palestinian communities. And there was huge resistance. Everybody who saw the movie, is that right? All of us were feeling incredible tension just watching this movie. And there was great fear. And they had doubts. They started expressing doubts about whether this was a wise thing to do or not a wise thing to do. But ultimately, as they came together and they realized that this was a calling greater than themselves, greater than that moment, and they shifted their intention to say, we must go forward. And then they put it out into social media. The floodgates opened up. And both sides, both the Israelis and the Palestinian people, supported them, encouraged them, and the effort went through and was a huge success for everybody. But it was that resistance, and oftentimes it's not even only our own resistance, but it is resistance from others that we must step aside from. And if we're called, we do it. And then the last step in awakening to enlightened enthusiasm is knowing that the universe is for us. Just as we breathe, that next breath is there for you until it's time for you to move on to the next realm. But that breath is always there. This givingness is always here. This divine love, omniscient, omnipotent, and omnipresent, is always here for us. This is an abundant universe. And it is providing. It is ever providing for us. And this is going back to that statement by Charles Fillmore, this is a demonstration of faith. This is springing forth in faith, knowing that that breath is here for us, the community is here for us, the education is here for us, the finances are here for us, as we let go of the resistance and allow that energy to flow. So the Buddha touched the ground and proclaimed that the earth was defending and supporting him, and we can do this too. We simply turn our heart and our mind to the idea that the love of God is everywhere and always available. So, we're going to close, and I just invite each of us to take these three simple things. This idea of enlightened enthusiasm, the practice of meditation, letting go of resistance, and having faith and trust that life is here for us. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "Nothing great was ever achieved without enthusiasm." So let's all just share together one more time. Enlightened enthusiasm, enlightened enthusiasm, enlightened enthusiasm,
Enthusiasm. Enthusiasm. Enthusiasm.
enlightened enthusiasm. And as Yogi Berra said, I just want to thank everybody who made this day necessary. Namaste.